Right, in the lead up to the 2019 election, Liberal MP Nicolle Flint was stalked, harassed, vilified in fact, for being a female on the Conservative side of politics. One of 9 coalition MPs specifically targeted by GetUp and the union movement, she was the only female on the list. And for her, the attacks threatened her physical safety and deployed accusations that she was a prostitute, all designed to get her to pull back from campaigning, hope she might collapse from the onslaught and quit the race. Well, they don't know Nicolle Flint like I do. She's a country girl born and bred from a farming family in South Australia. Not only did she hold her seat and increase her margin, she's turning the tables on the left in evidence she gave yesterday to the official inquiry into the conduct of last year's federal election. Nicolle Flint joins me now from Adelaide. Let's go to some of the facts here first, Nicolle, if we can. You were stalked by a GetUp member, David Walsh. You were forced to call in the South Australian Police to guarantee your safety. You fronted the committee yesterday, the Joint Standing Committee on Electoral Matters, to give your evidence. You called out this targeted hate, but the head of GetUp, Paul Oosting, didn't even show. He sent along some underling who wasn't even working for GetUp at the time of last year's campaign. Now, how is it that we tolerate, as a political system, GetUp playing such a central role in our politics, but not playing by any of the rules?
I agree, Peter, and that's why I do believe they should be declared an associated entity of the Labor Party and the Greens, but particularly the Labor Party, and that's what I called for in my formal submission to the Joint Standing Committee on Electoral Matters. And I just couldn't believe that the head of GetUp, the man who is overseeing all of their plans, their strategies, their campaign tactics, and unfortunately I saw their campaign tactics at their worst in my seat of Boothby last year. He couldn't even front the Joint Standing Committee on Electoral Matters to explain himself and to answer some pretty tough questions from some of my colleagues about the tactics that GetUp are implementing against Liberal and National Party MPs around the nation.
Well, let's go to some of those tactics because they've been identified as bird dogging. It's an American political tactic. We've imported it here just like we've imported so much from some of these left-wing activists. Explain what it is for my viewers and what can be done to stamp it out.
Well, my understanding is that it's tactics that's aimed at hunting down candidates and terrorising candidates and pursuing candidates. So that certainly was my experience of the election campaign last year in 2019. The stalking behaviour began about 5 months out from the election, so it started in earnest in January and continued right through until I went to see the SA Police and they took out a stalking order against this gentleman. But it was also the protest action outside my office, and GetUp and the stalker worked hand in glove. You know, it's the constant harassment, it's the not knowing when they're going to turn up. They did attend many of my community debates where it was almost impossible for me to actually answer the questions. The other candidates, Labor candidates, Greens candidates, were able to answer the questions that people were putting to them, but whenever I tried, I'd be shouted down. So it's just the constant harassment and intimidation that seems to be their main tactic.
And it's the smears against your character too that really got under my skin, because Labor and the unions, they like to crow about how well they treat women. You know, they like to say that all these positive policies on gender equity, but their actions speak louder than their words. I saw today Penny Wong, rather than come out and support you, she's come out and attacked you. Now, this stuff gets sanctioned, you know and I know, by campaign strategists. It's not necessarily the Labor or the Green opponent you're up against. This is all done by head office. It's very strategic. It's done in a very coordinated way. And look, you might get 1 or 2 texts from women on the left saying, gee, that's very terrible. But they don't have the guts to go public and stick up for you. Were you surprised by that today?
I was actually shocked. It seems that Senator Wong is suggesting that the behaviour that I was subjected to, so the deeply sexist and misogynistic vandalism of my campaign office that called me a skank and a prostitute who charges $60 an hour, the fact that I had to endure 5 months of methodical, systematic stalking from a member of my community, a male member of my community, is somehow not related to the campaign and not sexist behaviour. I find it beyond belief that Senator Wong made the comments that she did today, and I'm deeply disappointed.
Yeah, it's interesting, you know, they can have a Labor Prime Minister who gets up and makes a misogynist speech because her opponent, the Leader of the Opposition, looks at his watch, but you're supposed to just sort of suck this all up and go around again. I tell you what, if it doesn't kill you, Nicole, it makes you stronger. You and I both know that. I suspect they won't target you second time round because, you know, you stand up to them and you've really found your voice. What would you say to women who want to go into politics, particularly on the centre-right, and having to put up with this sort of rubbish?
Well, be well prepared, and if I have my time again, and really this is why I have spoken out, Peta, because I want to make sure that any other woman on the centre-right or even on the left who is subjected to this sort of really scary, sexist, misogynist behaviour can identify it at the time when it's happening and have it stopped. During the last election campaign, we really hadn't seen this sort of behaviour, certainly in South Australia before. I'm going to say nationwide, and especially when directed at women. And at the time, in the heat of the election campaign, you really feel that you can't speak out because people might accuse you of trying to play the victim card or, you know, trying to elicit sympathy, which is why I didn't speak out at the time. But I have done so since then because I want to make sure that all women in future feel comfortable letting people know and calling out this behaviour as soon as it happens, because it's unacceptable, it's un-Australian, and it needs to stop.
Good on you, Nicole Flint. I'm so proud of you. Really, really proud of you for speaking up. Keep it up, and you know, you've got a big brain and all those other issues that you love, all the economic issues and the business issues that I knew you, you know, we worked on those policies many years ago. Good luck, keep it up. Speak to you soon.
Thanks so much.